Assalamualaikum to Dr. Zul. We are from Group 5. We present on level of mental well-being among final year students in UiTM Puncak. My name is NURSYAMIMI binti MUSTAZRIN. We present on Chapter 1, Overview of the Research and Listed Research Objective. Also, we will be covering on Relationship Analysis in Chapter 4.
Hello, I'm Natasha Balqis binti SOHIBUL ANWAR. I will present on Chapter 2, Theory of Related Study, Framework and Hypothesis, Chapter 4 on Data Cleaning and Pie Chart of Demography.
Assalamualaikum, my name is NAIMIE NADJWA binti KHAIRUDDIN. I will present on Chapter 3 for Respondent, Purpose of Study, Types of Investigation and Extension of Research Interference. For Chapter 4, I will present on Normality.
Assalamualaikum Dr. Zul. I am NURUL binti Abdullah will be present on Chapter 3 Study Setting, Unit Analysis, Time Horizon and Population, and Chapter 4 Mean and Standard Deviation.
Hi, my name is IZZATI binti MUSTAFFA and I will present in Chapter 3 Sample Size, Sampling Technique, Survey Instrument and Plan for Data Analysis. Also in Chapter 4 for Regression Analysis.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is FAKHRUSY bin ISMADI. Today I will present Chapter 4 Reliability and Chapter 5 Conclusion.
Now, let me give you the overview of the research. In the year 2020, Malaysia has been infected with a new virus from Wuhan, China. The rapid spread of the COVID-19 prompted the Movement Control Order MCO. MCO has also led the shutdown of universities. The closure has left many students trapped in on and off-campus housing. The result is a progressive loss of psychological well-being and self-control. Online learning, negative environment, economic uncertainty, and absence of physical activity are all contributing factors to mental well-being. However, the disparity in prior findings motivated us to assess the psychological well-being of UiTM Puncak students during the MCO, both on and off campus. Our group have listed 5 research objectives of this research. The first one is to find out the level of mental well-being among final year university students. Second, to determine the relationship between online learning and mental well-being among final year students. Third, to identify the relationship of negative environment and mental well-being among final year students. Fourth, to identify the relationship between economic uncertainty and mental well-being among final year students. And lastly, the 5, to determine the relationship of the absence of physical activity and mental well-being among final year students.
Theory-related study. Our studies refers to General Adaptation Syndrome (GAS) created by Hans Selye, a Hungarian-Canadian endocrinologist. Our study indicates university students face stress during movement control order and it affects psychological well-being. But how does stress affect psychological well-being and what is the exact factor related? Thus, our conceptual framework shows the expected relationship of independent variables of our study with mental well-being. Hypothesis. There is significant relationship between online learning and final year students' mental well-being. There is a significant relationship between a negative environment and final year students' mental well-being. There is a significant relationship between economic uncertainty and final year students' mental well-being. The last one, there is a significant relationship between absence of physical activity and final year students' mental well-being.
Respondent. Our group only get 117 feedback from their students. Purpose of study. The purpose of this descriptive study is to determine the level of mental well-being among university students in their final year of studies. The result of this study will allow us to examine and compare which factors have a significant impact on the mental health of final year students. Types of investigation. This study used correlational and causal approaches. Both approaches involve 2 interrelated variables, and this study showed that the 4 independent variables, online learning, negative environment, economic uncertainty, and absence of physical activity, have had an impact on dependent variables, final year students' mental well-being.
Next is study setting. It is non-controlled study setting where the research is carried out in the natural environment where work proceeds normally. Then, for unit of analysis, individual unit of analysis was applied because one respondent served as an individual. It means that for 117 respondents, the questionnaire will be presented to each of them for data analysis and questionnaire. For time horizon, Our study is cross-sectional or short-term study as the study is limited to a specific time frame which is only done in 12 weeks. And for the population, our sample study is semester 5 students from International Business BA246 course and Human Resource BA243 course in UiTM Puncak Alam.
Sample size. Expected number of students are 232 students for course BA243, 133 students, and BA246, 99 students. However, this study managed to get 117 respondents in total. Sampling technique. This study uses non-probability sampling where it will use convenience sampling. To select the right respondents, the study used questionnaires. Survey instrument. The questionnaire has 46 questions and divided into 3 sections. Section A, demographic information. Section B focuses on independent variables. Meanwhile, Section C focuses on dependent variable. Plan for data analysis. The study was tested for concurrent and convergibility. The scale used is interval, and the data were analyzed by using descriptive and inferential statistics. SPSS is used as a data analysis platform.
Data cleaning. There is no missing value 0% on our research since all questionnaires were distributed and answered by respondents through Google Form. Demographic. On gender category, majority of respondents are female with 86.3% and male with 13.7%. Based on courses, human resource students are the majority respondents with 16.7% and international business students with 39.3%. Number of households in the family of respondents shows the majority have 8 to 10% with 74.4%, 17.9% with 1 to 3%, 6.8% with 11 and above percent, and the least one is 4 to 7% with 0.9%. Location of more respondents live during the pandemic is city with 53%, rural area with 26.5%, and suburban area with 20.5%.
Normality. In this study, the skewness and kurtosis method had been chosen to carry out the normality test by taking the maximum and a minimum number of skewness and kurtosis. If these two measures falls within the range of -1.82 and +1.82, the data can still be considered normal. In this table, head show all our independent and dependent variables are in the range number -1.82 to 1.82, and it is considered acceptable in order to prove normal univariate distribution.
Reliability. This test is conducted to check the internal consistency of the items measuring the variables with subjective measure. All the items measuring the internal variables have high reliability coefficients indicating acceptable level of internal consistency with the coefficient values in the range of 0.636 to 0.953.
Next, we go to mean and standard deviation. For online learning, the highest mean is 4.37 with 0.738 of standard deviation. For distance learning saves time and effort to reach the campus, which means most of the respondents are agree with the statement. Then, the highest mean for negative environment is 4.03 with 0.809 of standard deviation. For I perceive the changes in entertainment activities due to the social isolation during this period of COVID-19 pandemic, which means most of the respondents are agree with the statement. As for the economic uncertainty, the highest mean is 2.96 with 1.441 of standard deviation. For my parents' source of income was affected during MCO, which means most of the respondents are neutral with the statement. For the last part of independent variables, which is absence of physical activity, the highest mean is 3.45 with 1.171 of standard deviation. For my place has spaces to do physical activity, which means most of the respondents are neutral with the statement. Next, for dependent variable, the highest mean for stress is 3.30 with 1.011 of standard deviation. For I found it hard to wind down, which means most of the respondents feel sometimes related with the statement. Then, the highest mean for anxiety are I was aware of dryness of my mouth and I was worried about situations in which I might panic or make a fool of myself with mean 3.27 and 1.134 of standard deviation and mean 3.27 and 1.229 standard deviation respectively, which means most of the respondents feel sometimes related with both statements. Lastly, the highest mean for depression is 3.12 with 1.161 of standard deviation for I found it difficult to work up the initiative to do things, which means most of the respondents feel sometimes related with the statement.
Now we are going to relationship analysis. Based on the table, negative environment and economic uncertainty show a positive correlation to mental well-being, while the other two independent variables, which are online learning and absence of physical activity, show a negative correlation to mental well-being. From the result, it also shows there is a concurrent validity between negative environment and online learning, and also between absence of physical activity and online learning, and also between economic uncertainty and negative environment. This is because there is an intercorrelation between each other. Furthermore, economic uncertainty and absence of physical activity show a significant relationship to mental well-being. Thus, these show a convergent validity between them. Next, there is a positive weak-uphill linear relationship between economic uncertainty and mental well-being, while the absence of physical activity and mental well-being have a negative weak-uphill linear relationship. Both relationship is significant at 0.01 level. Lastly, the correlation between independent variables, which are online learning and negative environment, show non-significant to mental well-being.
Regression analysis summarizes the result between independent variables and dependent variable. R-squared of 0.179 implies that all independent variables describe 70.9% of the variance in mental well-being. Another 82.1% is not explained, indicates there are other factors which are not included. Adjuster of R-squared that penalizes the addition of 0.150 units of all independent variables. F-test is significant based on the p-value below than 0.05, then the model is valid. For B-value, online learning negative 0.313 units, negative environment 0.301 units, economic uncertainty 0.247 units, absence of physical activity negative 0.250 units of mental well-being. Next, the beta value is expressed as standard deviation. Online learning negative 0.181, negative environment 0.195, economic uncertainty 0.296, absence of physical activities negative 0.227 for mental well-being. Furthermore, from all three significant variables, economic uncertainty is considered as the most influential factor to mental well-being, then followed by negative environment, and the least influential is absence of physical activity.
The conclusion of this research finding is to find the answer from the research objectives on the relationship between online learning on mental well-being among final year students, the relationship of negative environment on mental well-being among final year students, relationship between economic uncertainty on mental well-being among final year students, and relationship of the absence of physical activity on mental well-being among final year students. Below is the result from multiple regression analysis in chapter 4. Therefore, the result from multiple regression analysis show that online learning and negative environment are not support, as they show these two independent variables are negatively affecting mental well-being. Economic uncertainty and absence of physical activity show that they are support, as the positively influences mental well-being.